Thanks to Bessa for sponsoring this video. Stay tuned for an awesome giveaway.
Women's friendships are very different than men's friendships, and
How
they're
so,
very
you think?
important to our health. Because you guys, you kind of sit side by side and watch sports or cars or women. Women sit facing each other, eye to eye, and they say, I'm in trouble, I need you, can you help me?
Lately, I've been thinking about the concept of female friendship, or at least how it's portrayed on social media. On TikTok in particular, the aesthetic of female friendship has become somewhat of a trend. Videos of women gathered around a vanity putting on makeup, dancing like nobody's watching, and clinking wine glasses at dinner abound. Women in flowy dresses, frolicking in nature have become a subgenre of content in this sphere. The clips are scored by tender, nostalgia-inducing songs like Billie Eilish's What Was I Made For, or Phoebe Bridgers' Scott Street, with an interpolated monologue detailing the beauty of girlhood. It's about as wholesome as it gets. Women supporting women without the drama, jealousy, and cattiness that was once considered par for the course in media's depictions of female friendship. So, what is it about female friendships that is so mythically powerful that it can make four women of different sizes fit into the same pair of pants? I hate to burst your bubble, but nothing. Which brings me to my problem with female friendships. It has nothing to do with the friendships themselves, but everything to do with how we talk about them. Before we get into that though, I'd like to thank Bessa for sponsoring this portion of the video. Bessa is a bi-woman company for all things sexual wellness. Their mission is to empower everyone to embrace, explore, and celebrate their sexuality. They are so kindly partnering with me for a giveaway today. Everyone who signs up will win something, whether it's a gift card or a free vibrator. They all come in these super cute and discreet charging cases. Here are some of my picks. First, the Pebble. I love this name. It's ergonomically built to fit perfectly in your hand. The suction and vibration are controlled independently, so you can really customize it to your preferences. Next, the Air Vibe. It's flexible, it has dual stimulation, and is completely waterproof. And last but not least, the Thump. It is like the Swiss Army knife of vibrators. It suctions and thumps, and like all the other toys, it charges in this discreet, very nice sage green case, so you can bring it with you anywhere. If you're in the market for some pleasure, don't forget to sign up for the giveaway using the link in my description box. And thanks again, Bessa, for sponsoring this video. So based off the title, I know what you're thinking. A woman who has a problem with female friendships. She's a pick-me. She's not like other girls. She's a guy's girl. No. I'm not here to complain about other women and how I can't be friends with them because they're too catty or dramatic or jealous of me. Now more than ever, female friendships have a positive connotation thanks to the Barbie movie at the center of the cultural zeitgeist and all the other girl core micro trends that have popped up on the internet. It's cool to be a girl's girl, and that's great. My problem with female friendships lies less with the interpersonal intricacies and more with the semantics of the term itself. It feels unnecessarily gendered in a way that's similar to the notion of feminine energy.
A lot of ladies are not able to tap into their feminine energy because they haven't healed.
What does healing have to do with being a woman or being feminine? More importantly, why are you healing for the sake of being more feminine? Heal because you want to. I have a similar gripe with the term female friendship when it's used in a way that reinforces gender essentialist rhetoric and stereotypes. Female friendships are touted as deep and fulfilling because many women are comfortable being vulnerable and in touch with our emotions because we were socialized that way as female presenting people, not because we are biologically predisposed to this disposition. In an article for Everyday Feminism, Susanna Weiss writes, though female friendship usually means friendship between women, in these contexts, this phrasing excludes trans women, as do biological explanations for women's supposedly unique bond. Women are not the same as females, and narratives of female friendship that trace it to biology conflate the two, promoting a narrow definition of woman. Unlike feminine energy gurus who are extremely explicit in their endorsement of gender stereotypes, the notion of female friendship more subtly subscribes to it, but it can be misleading nonetheless. Gender and sex are two different things that exist on two separate spectrums. The sex spectrum is informed by biological distinctions based on one's anatomy, hormones, and chromosomes. The gender spectrum includes social and psychological distinctions that are created by our culture and upbringing. Sex doesn't necessarily determine or indicate anything conclusive about an individual's gender identity, personality, or preferences, which is why I am annoyed with the term female friendship. Female is a sex, but when talking about female friendships, people are often describing something that is gendered and informed by our culture. It's misleading because it sends a message that women are naturally able to be in touch with their emotions, have deep conversations, and engage in fulfilling friendships. And while these are all positive things to be proud of, it's not accurate to say that it comes naturally because it takes effort to cultivate these qualities and to build friendships. The belief that women are naturally more capable of forming deep friendships also reinforces toxic masculinity and the notion that men aren't capable of being vulnerable. This is not to ignore the fact that there are plenty of men out there who struggle with interpersonal intimacy, but we should avoid talking about it in a way that conflates one's natural disposition and emotional intelligence with one's sex. And this is not unique to how we talk about friendship. It is a staple in how femininity gurus discuss romantic relationships.
Ladies, if you want the most masculine version of a man, if you want his provider and protector side, you have to learn how to tap into your gentle and soft side.
Something that I think is really interesting about the being a soft feminine woman will attract a masculine provider man rhetoric is that while this arrangement might optimize for material gain and traditionality, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be satisfied. In fact, marriages in which both spouses adhere to stereotyped gender roles are generally less happy than non-traditional couples. Traditionally masculine traits include assertiveness, self-reliance, and ambition. Traditionally feminine traits include warmth, tenderness, and compassion. And as a reminder, these are all traditional in the sense that they are socialized, but I like to think of it as, two separate sets of skills that can range from high to low in both men and women. So a man with extremely high masculine traits and very low feminine traits has very little in common with a woman who possesses extremely high feminine traits and low masculine traits. However, the most well-adjusted people tend to possess both sets of traits, so it is mind-boggling that there is a niche of both men and women on the internet who are hell-bent on erasing half of these characteristics from their personality. People who possess both traditionally masculine and feminine traits are considered androgynous. And I know androgynous has an appearance-based connotation, but in this case, it refers to possessing both masculine and feminine traits, regardless of appearance. A 2019 piece for Psychology Today reads, androgynous couples do better because they can identify with each other. When two people have similar ways of thinking, they have an easier time communicating because they understand each other. In contrast, those who are more traditional might have difficulty at times seeing their partner's side of issues. When conflicts arise, they are not as well equipped to handle them because they see the world primarily from the perspective of their different gender roles. There's a lot of information to be gleaned from this, and it shows the importance of the overlap in masculine and feminine traits, and I think that this information can also be applied to how we think about friendships. There's this widely held conception that men and women can't be friends, but I think given this information about possessing both masculine and feminine traits, I think it's really interesting about what we think of when we think of the types of men and women that can't be friends with each other. So a man with very masculine traits and low feminine traits, like I said, has little in common with a woman who has very high feminine traits and very low masculine traits. So I think, when you think about it in a romantic relationship, they don't have a lot in common. And even in friendship, those aren't the type of people who would probably be drawn to each other. I think it's interesting though, in terms of, appearance, that's what usually people think of when they think of a traditional heterosexual couple. In terms of appearance, the man looks super manly. He's tall. The woman is dainty, feminine, wearing pink, wearing a skirt. And I think that visually we think of that, oh yeah, that makes sense, that goes together. But I still think within that conception, there can be women who dress feminine and dainty and, you know, still possess masculine traits of ambition, self-reliance, etc. There can be men who fit the appearance of a traditionally masculine man and still have, you know, feminine traits. I think my preference of a guy would look masculine and look in that traditionally masculine way, but I would definitely want a guy who is in touch with his feminine traits and masculine traits, not just like a super masculine-y man, and, you know, he doesn't have any concept of like warmth and compassion. He just is like provide, protect, serve. Like, I don't really want that. I would rather have someone who can do both than just like lean extremely far into one end of it. Like I said, I think the same concept can be applied to friendships. When I think of my friendships with guys, the guys in my life, they are really not like on that masculine only end of the spectrum. They are people who like kind of fall towards the middle, maybe even towards the feminine sort of end with things. And I think that's like what enables our friendship to just be like a normal, great friendship that, you know, people might think you can only find with female friendships because, you know, they might believe women only possess those capabilities. But there are men that do. It's, you know, I'm not saying it's the most common thing in the world, but guys like that definitely exist. And I've been lucky to form some really fulfilling and deep friendships with some of the guys in my life. And I know people always say like guys and girls can't be friends because like the guy always catches feelings. And to that I say, guys, try being ugly. Try looking like me before you all rush to the comments and tell me I'm beautiful and gorgeous. I know, but like, you know, let's be real. In terms of like societal beauty standards, I am not the pinnacle of desirability, and that's okay. I'm an acquired taste. But I also think to an extent, maybe that has helped me be able to form friendships with guys because they are not attracted to me. All this is to say that I do think it's possible for guys and girls to be friends. And also, even though the conception is like the guy always has a crush on the girl, guys, I've been on the other side of that. I've been on the other side of that plenty of times where I actually liked the guy. And listen, they didn't like me back. So I'm telling you guys, try being ugly. Try being ugly. I'm like, I don't know what to say. Then you can have more platonic heterosexual friendships. I think the uniqueness that is sort of bestowed on female friendships is that there's this like emotional intimacy and closeness, and I just think it is wrongly conflated to that because of the fact that two women are present and not because of the fact that like two women who are capable of being vulnerable and in touch with their emotions are present. I think what really people sort of love about the concept of female friendships, especially in this sort of moment where they have been romanticized, I think that intangible quality that women and people in general sort of revere about the female friendship is the closeness of certain activities of like braiding each other's hair, putting on makeup, dancing, whatever. I think a lot of it that is romanticized is the performance of gender and not necessarily something that is innate to females, which is fine. I think, you know, the performance of gender does sound like such a heavy thing. The fact that I have to paint my face and talk a certain way or whatever. And, you know, I don't think the performance of gender is all doom and gloom. Sometimes it can be things that people enjoy. But I do think it's a problem to mistake that performance with something that's just like innately natural and a part of girlhood. The idea of like doing my makeup with a bunch of other people in front of a vanity, you know, I've done it before, it's fine, but like I hate that shit. I think because I'm actually uncomfortable with that performance of gender. Like, I will do my makeup, I have fun doing my makeup, but like, I don't know, I think I have an insecurity about how I do my makeup, and I'm like, this is probably like wrong, that I don't really want to do it in front of other people. So for me particularly, that image of girlhood and femininity, like, that's not something I resonate with. Or even like trying on clothes in front of other people, like, I'm insecure, like I don't resonate with that. I think on the flip side of like the feminine version of performing gender is like the cool girl version of performing gender, and that is to say, you know, the girl who likes pizza and beer and football, but she's still skinny and hot, etc. And I think what that cool girl monologue critiques, and in general the critique of this cool girl, is that she's performing gender and femininity through how a man desires it. And I think trying to fit in that mold won't be satisfying for anyone. I'm sure there are women out there who genuinely, like, that is their interest and that's how they express themselves. But I think doing it specifically for the attention of men is, like, never going to feel completely satisfying. Anyway, the whole point of this video is to say that I don't think female friendships should be over glorified or oversimplified just for the sake that it's two women being friends. There's just a lot more nuance to what friendship can look like and what a good friendship is. And just because it's a female friendship, you know, doesn't inherently mean that it's a good friendship. I think the most interesting thing is how they treat each other and how they care for each other and how they show up for each other. And I think I'm even able to sort of have this perspective because, one, I've been able to have some really good friendships with guys in my life, and two, I think I've never felt fully comfortable with the performance of intimacy that takes place in some female friendships. I think one reason is growing up in a predominantly white environment and being like the only black girl felt like my girlhood was very different to that of my peers, and my girlhood was sort of marked by trying to assimilate but really never quite fitting in. So I do think that is like something that makes me have this perspective, and I think that's why I'm not so quick to like over glorify female friendship. I feel really uncomfortable like trying to perform certain elements of gendered things because I think it just like brings me back to a place where I was trying to do that, I was trying to assimilate, and it didn't feel natural to me and it wasn't really working. I'm curious to hear your thoughts below. And, you know, I think female friendships can be a great thing. I just think how we talk about them might need a little bit more nuance. Just a little bit more on that. So yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks again, Bessa, for sponsoring this one, and bye.